everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Craft Parenting Podcast, the podcast about two Cincinnati craft beer lovers with a parenting problem. And a few days or weeks ago, a hangover problem, but we got through it, so it was fine. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Caroline. Joe is at home watching the kids because it's not babysitting when it's your kids. You're just taking care of your own children. But today, I have a special guest with me, which it says Caroline Responds because we didn't change the text.
Well, I am Caroline, and I am sitting here with Caroline, and we're going to have a lot of fun. No, I'm Julia. You may have heard me before on Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. To kind of pull a Marco, it's a podcast where we talk about all the other Cincinnati craft beer podcasts and hope that there aren't too many Podsequences when we kind of switch out the truth a little bit here and there as we're recapping those podcasts.
I think we've iced you guys 3 times now, but 2 of them were the same time. So
Yes. You guys are on our list for that, or on our. Well, I always forget that this is more of a. I don't say family-friendly podcast, but Joe, you can do whatever you need to do to bleep that out. But,
there was a joke that Josh said producer David said during the recording of our 100th episode that stayed in because Joe was like, "What do I do with this?" And I'm like, "I don't know." It's like, "Well, we're not family-friendly now."
This episode has the little E attached.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's fine.
All right, good.
Hey everyone, Joe Ludwig here with the one and only Caroline.
Hey!
Before we get to the main topic of today's episode, we wanted to pause briefly and tell you about how you can support the show.
So if you enjoy listening to the podcast and reading our blog posts every week, then you now have the opportunity to support the show through Buy Me a Coffee. Here's what you need to know. It's super easy to do. You don't have to set up an account to contribute. You have options. Send us a one-time donation or sign up as a member to contribute on a monthly or yearly basis. Plus, you can unlock exclusive content.
To learn more about how you can support the Craft Parenting Podcast through Buy Me a Coffee, click the link in the show notes. And now, back to the show.
Thanks, Joe, for joining us for that short little segment. Go get the kids now.
And
I'm
poof,
sure
he's gone.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
He showed up and then he disappeared. How'd he do it?
I don't know.
Magic.
It's that West Side magic. So we have recovered enough from our 100th episode to start drinking beer again. So I am currently drinking a Mad Tree Gutenbach, which they describe as malty, rich, smooth, and I would agree with that. It's 7.4% ABV, and the IBUs are 21, but they're made up and don't matter, so it's fine. Their description is a celebration of Cincinnati's brewing heritage, German roots, and annual Bockfest festival. Gutenbach is a traditional Doppelbock lager with notes of caramel, bread, and a hint of chocolate to balance things out. Some say it's simply the GOAT.
I'm going to be getting that one next.
It's a good one.
Yes. And then what I have is Grainworks Orange Dream. It is 6.2%. No IBUs because, like you said, they're made up and they don't matter. Mm-hmm. And according to their description, what's more refreshing on a hot summer day, a fresh, juicy orange or a cool, creamy treat? If you answered both, you're in luck. Copious amounts of both tangy oranges and creamy lactose and vanilla are added to a light American wheat ale, creating a delicious treat that combines the best flavors to beat the heat. It's delicious. The smell doesn't quite match the taste of the beer, so I don't know if we want to spoil that, but it is a little different.
Yeah, sometimes there is a bit of a disconnect between, like, I'm smelling this, but I'm tasting something else. Mm-hmm.
Don't judge a beer by smell alone.
No. Or the color.
True.
Like, Josh's beer definitely looks like a mildly hazy IPA. They almost look the same.
Right, they do.
But his just straight up tastes like fruit juice.
Yes, it does. It is crazy and delicious and dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because what is it? Voodoo Ranger, fruit. The screen is so Fruit Force.
Fruit Force, yes.
Okay.
And it's like a 9.2 or 9.5% IPA, but it's going down real easy.
Yeah, those are the fun ones, but they're also a little bit dangerous.
Agreed.
So.
Agreed.
Hello. This is Morgan Freeman, and you are listening to the Craft Parenting Podcast with Joe and Caroline. Stay tuned for more.
Tony was so confused when we were recording because he's like, wait, what is going on right now?
Yeah, I kind of felt bad because he's just like, there is so much happening that.
Tony,
How do you even explain it? Hopefully he still had a good time.
he still had a good time. Tony is very good at just going along for the ride and picking up whatever is going on.
Nice.
And just rolling with the flow. But I think if it would have been anybody else, they'd be like, what? What? And Tony's like, okay, this is happening now. That's cool.
And if you're curious what we're talking about, listen to the 100th episode dropping on May the 4th.
Yes, which will be 2 episodes before this one.
Excellent.
So,
All right.
because,
So in the past, you should have already listened by now.
yes,
Podcast time's weird.
it is very weird.
Very weird.
Okay, so today we are talking about bottle shops and West Side things is what I put.
That works.
And then Joe just went into like bottle shops and bottle shops. So we'll see what happens. We never go on tangents. We never go off the rails.
Nope. This is a very structured show.
Oh, so
We
structured.
will not go off topic in any way, shape, or form. Hey, look at that squirrel out there. Do you see that? See what he's doing over
Hey.
there with the nuts and the peanut butter and stuff? Holy cow! Coolest squirrel ever.
Who knew squirrels knew how to open up peanut butter jars? It's
You
crazy.
You learn
guys.
something new every day.
What?
Oh God, Caroline's gonna kill me. Oh my God, that's great. But yeah, bottle shops.
Well, and this one happens to be like walking distance from my grandparents' old house. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, hey, I used to hang out here all the time. And now it's a very fun place that I can hang out in as an adult.
Absolutely.
So we currently are at Delhi Liquor, and I will read their description from their website, which is super not wordy, so it's fine. Because Delhi Liquor Store carries one of the largest selections of beer, wine, and liquor in the West Side. And this building's pretty big. I haven't been upstairs yet to see the liquor selection, but it seems like it's going to be immense. So let us tell you about ourselves, says Delhi Liquor. Established in 2000, relocated in 2014, and expanded in 2020, we strive to offer the best customer service while you shop our stock of libations. Feel free to ask any questions you may have about preparing the perfect cocktail. Our shelves stay well stocked, and we keep our selection up to date with alcohol market trends. The store's location is easy to find, being on the corner of Delhi and Mount Alverno across the street from Chipotle. We have a well-trained, attentive staff that will be more than happy to assist you. Our customers are very important to us, and our efficient and friendly staff make certain that you are 100% satisfied when you leave our business. And they have a tap room in the basement, which is where we're hanging out, but the hours for the tap room are very different than the hours for the liquor store,
Yes.
which definitely changed up when we could record this episode.
Yes.
And so Joe has questions in here, or has comments. They have frequent pint nights and food trucks. Do they have TVs? Yes, they have TVs. We're currently watching baseball and the NFL draft, or at least I am.
Well, you are. Yes, I'm facing the wrong way. That's
Yeah.
all right.
They have lots of seating. They got a picnic table and then a bunch of tables that seat 4 and a good bar
Yep.
that has, because it's the West Side, photos epoxied into it
Yes. Yes.
of like the history of the building, because it's the West Side. It's what we do.
It's true.
And they do have special nights. So I was talking to the bartender before we started, who is the host of the Go Beer Cats podcast.
Oh, cool. Okay, so we were talking about that.
Yes.
Yes, because it was like, shoot, it sounds like the way he was talking, like he works here. I'm like, I don't know if he does or not. So
He does, and he's here right now.
I will have to introduce myself when I get another beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Wednesdays are pint nights, and the next Wednesday, which is way after this recording has happened.
The day after
is-
this recording posts, actually, or the day before it posts.
No, the day before our 100th episode posts.
Oh, gotcha,
We-
gotcha.
We record all over the place. And we're actually way ahead right now, which is very rare for us.
Nice.
But because Cinco de Mayo is coming up, they have a bunch of Cinco de Mayo related events that are coming up, but that'll be like 2 weeks ago in the past. So they might have the beer available still, they might not.
Yeah. I will say we've been here for 1 or 2 pint nights, and they're always a lot of fun. They have a rep from the brewery that shows up. The pint nights are on Wednesdays, and they almost always have a food truck. Only time they don't have a food truck is really if the food truck cancels, but they always try to have one out. They're a good time. You get a great crowd out here. You have, a good amount of options from that brewery on the board. It's not just like 2 or 3 taps. They try to fill it out with, 5, 6 of the taps
Nice.
being that brewery, so you can actually get a good variety and a good idea of what that brewery has to offer if you're not familiar with them. So
Yeah.
it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and when we got here, he was like, yeah, Saturdays are usually my quiet day because I was the only one here. And I'm like drinking my beer, and I'm like, okay, hopefully somebody else will be here so it won't just be us recording an episode while somebody's standing at the bar.
That's fine.
But now we have a nice crowd here.
Yeah.
A few people drove up. It's the west side. A few people walked up. Mm-hmm. It's perfect. So let's see here.
There's a lot of food nearby. I mean, it's on one of the busiest strips in Delhi. Mm-hmm. So if they don't have food trucks, I believe they're okay if people bring in their own food. And pretty much any fast food that you can think of is on the pike. They have Wild Mike's. They have, there's actually something called Wishbone Tavern in the little strip mall that's behind the Chipotle right across the street.
Oh, nice.
So anything you would want to eat before, after. I mean, if you're here for too long, go to the Waffle House on the corner.
Ah,
and
Wahoo's
soak up
always a
everything.
good time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Though I do get concerned about going to a Waffle House that is not near a highway, because I usually judge how good a Waffle House is by how
That's
many truckers are there.
This is true. This is very true. Although there are a lot, because there's, a Kroger and a lot of some of those stores up here, there are a lot of nighttime deliveries. So you don't see a ton of semis in the parking lot. It's actually kind of a smaller-ish parking lot.
Yeah. I mean,
But
they
it's
could still
always
be
been
walking
good.
up,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that's very true.
They put one in on Glenway near our old house, and I was like, this is kind of sketch. And then the windows got busted out because it was kind of sketch.
Yeah, the
But
one
it's
up there
still
by
standing.
Midway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one I don't trust. don't trust to save my life.
It's one of the few Waffle Houses that I've seen that actually has like an order here and pick up your food here window to like get in and out and leave.
Yes.
The part of town is good sometimes, but
It has its times. It's ebbs and flows.
yeah.
But, this area is typically pretty good.
I mean, there's a huge neighborhood right down the street.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, yeah, the parking lot for Delhi Liquor back here. I mean, you have the main Delhi Pike directly behind us, so facing the storefront. But then back here, it's all neighborhoods and trees and grass and all kinds of good stuff.
And we have something about like we don't want to live in Delhi, and I don't remember exactly why that came about.
Because you'll never get out if you move in.
Probably
Yes,
because my
it's called
grandparents
Del Hol
lived
for a
here for
reason.
forever. But like if we had a place like this that was within walking distance of our house, we would be like the family that is here with their small child. Like,
Sure,
hey, we went
sure.
on a walk and oh no, we ended up in the tap room. Oh no, we ended up with a beer.
Yeah, I tripped and landed with a beer in my hand. I don't know what happened.
It just
Terrible,
happens.
terrible. One of the really cool things I like about what they do when they added this tap room is the 3 huge garage doors. So when the weather's nice and the doors are open, it's wonderful. You don't get a lot of noise from Delhi Pike. It actually stays pretty quiet back here.
because the road is far enough away that you can't really tell.
Parking lot's big enough that they'll sometimes in the summer set up like cornhole or other games out there that you can play, and it's great. It's
'cause
fantastic.
I was kind of concerned bringing in all of the podcast equipment because Joe was nice enough to show up to help record our little segment, but then didn't help me bring in any of the equipment.
So he was here and then he left, or you did that before?
He was here to do the Buy Me a Coffee segment. He came and he left, and
Gotcha.
I had to bring in all the equipment myself, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get in a door. And I was like, oh, sweet, a garage door is
Nice
open. I can
garage
just
doors,
wander
yeah.
right in.
Yep. And I don't know if you were going to talk about this or not in the description, but like you said, the tap room hours are very different than the actual store hours. The store is open 7 days a week, roughly between 10 a.m. and 9 p.m. I think some of the days it might be an hour later. They're open an hour later, that type of thing. But the tap room's only open Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 4 to 7 or 4 to 8.
Yeah. Because I
4 to 8,
called
yeah.
when we were trying to schedule this yesterday. I called him and I was like, hey, is your tap room open on Sunday? And they're like, no. It's like, okay, thanks. I just want to make sure that the hours on the website were valid for what was happening downstairs.
Right. I think that just, staffing wise and all that, it's just hard to try to do something. I mean, I don't think this place could do, the 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. kind of hours down here. But, I mean, they'll get busy, especially if they have a food truck. I mean, this place will be packed, and there'll just be people at every single one of the tables, people standing, drinking their beer.
Yeah. Well,
it's a good time.
I think, probably the biggest difference between this and most of the other bottle shops that I've been to is that the tap room is on one level and the bottle shop is on another level.
Right.
So it's not like you can necessarily stock the place with the same people. You have to say, okay, who's going to be in the basement? We're taking care of the tap room. And then who's going to be upstairs making sure that none of our liquor is walking off the shelves and out the door.
Right. And and that's another good point. I don't believe, I could be wrong on this. I've never actually asked. But I don't believe you can buy, they have some singles upstairs. I don't believe you can buy one and open it and drink it here on site. I don't know if they have the licensing.
I would assume that you can't because most of my, and I have never, we are not legal, financial, or medical advice. I have not actually acquired a liquor license myself, but I pay attention to events that we're at and how their liquor licenses work. It wouldn't surprise me if it's purchased upstairs and it's closed. You can't bring it down here.
Right.
They do have a cooler that has some stuff in it that we could buy. So if I wanted a White Claw, I could get a White Claw. Right. And then I could do whatever I want because there ain't no laws when you're drinking claws. But I would like to make sure that I am obeying most of the laws of our area, so I will not do that.
Yep. Yeah, I'm kind of spoiled by almost always going to higher gravity to where it's just you see a bottle of something and it's just sure, just go ahead and have the bartender open it up. And I didn't want any of those, I don't say false pretenses, but I don't want anyone to assume they can do that same thing here. Yeah. Maybe in the future it might be a thing if they figure out logistics and, we'll have someone run it down to ensure that the bartender's opening it. But again, logistics, who knows? But for now, it's all just what they have on tap and in the cooler down here. But it's still a decent selection.
It is.
Yeah.
And the stuff that's on draft, there is a wide variety. And I still got the Bach beer. Because they still have Bach on draft, but it's a little chilly outside. I am doing the awesome light sweatshirt and shorts because that's kind of what Mother Nature says that I can wear today.
Absolutely.
So it's good for a nice Bach beer right now. Probably in 3 weeks it'll be no, it got too hot outside again. We're not going to do that. But I'm always down for a good Bach beer.
Absolutely. And you are kind of getting low on that. So do you need producer Josh?
Yeah, I don't know.
Grab you something else?
Oh, wait.
All right.
I think I'm going to be a basic and get the Swine City. It's is it Black Hoof Pineapple Whip? It's a hard seltzer. It sounds interesting. So, we've really talked about Delhi Liquor and all their situation. I don't know. I'm assuming they have picnic tables outside, so I'm assuming that you can hang out on the picnic tables with your beer.
Yes.
Just don't go into the parking lot.
Right. I think
with anybody seeing you because it's the west side.
When it's kind of crazy busy and all the seats are taken and people are really just standing around drinking, people will kind of wander and, I don't know if this is, allowed, not allowed, but I will see people not walking up to their car with a beer, obviously, but just kind of standing out in the middle of the parking lot until, another car comes up, and no one really seems to have an issue with that, including some of the cops that'll drive by. So I think that as long as you're being smart and being, responsible.
Though, I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast before. One of my first 10 instances of driving by myself, I am driving down Coleraine Avenue. So this is going to surprise neither of you, but might surprise some other people. I am driving down Coleraine Avenue. We are stopped at a red light. I look at the car next to me, and the guy next to me is drinking something out of a can in a brown paper bag. And I am
I'm sure it's just Mountain
okay,
Dew.
Never will I ever look to see what the person next to me is drinking again.
Oh, man. Yeah, people do things.
Yeah, I do not do that.
No. We want you to get home safe, and we want everyone around you to get home safe.
Yeah, what is the joke? I want to go out in my sleep like my grandpa, not screaming like the five people in the passengers in the car.
Yes. I love that one.
I have a button for this.
That's insane shit.
It is like insane shit. Thank you, Marco.
I'm so glad Marco
Thank you.
could join
I
us.
know. I didn't know. I don't know how he made it to the west side.
I don't
But I'm
either.
glad he did. Although I don't know where he disappeared. He must have gone up the stairs to check out, the store, because I don't know where he went to.
Yeah, I was very proud of him when I found out that he drove to our house.
He did.
And he said that Joe made it real awkward because Joe was like, "Where's Marco or where's Julia and Josh?" And it's like, it's just me.
I actually got here on my own.
Yeah. Oh,
She has
I have
2 cups.
I'm counting.
Yeah, it's like, oh God.
Hold on a second. My phone keeps going off because I snoozed a notification and now it's not.
It demands that you notice that notification.
Yeah, and I'm like, please leave me alone. The landscapers are at the house and it's taking them longer than usual.
I'll tell you what, isn't it nice to have someone else do your yard stuff for you?
It is. I super enjoy it.
I like to be able to enjoy my yard. I don't want to have to work to enjoy my yard.
Well,
I used to really like it, but as I get older, I'm just kind of like, no, I have better things to do with my time.
Yeah, well, I'm attempting to grow tomato plants and strawberries right now. The strawberries are doing a lot better than the tomatoes because I've been told that I bought my tomatoes like a month early.
They're sprouting. How? I don't know.
I can only really keep them in our garage so they don't get as much sun as they should. And like I think I watered them too much, which usually my problem is that I don't water them enough. So we'll see if they make it, and if not, we'll just replace them with new ones and not tell Lily that anything changed.
Exactly. Buy some tomatoes from like the store and just like lay them on the ground around the plant. Be like, look, we have a harvest, and she won't know. She won't know the difference.
I want to grow something.
Sure.
But I do not garden.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried. It's just not. Yeah, it doesn't work. I've been able to keep the snake plant that I have at work alive for like a year and a half, which is absolutely insane to me. But one of my coworkers was like, the roots are starting to show. You need to put some more dirt in it or like repot into a bigger pot. And I'm going, okay, well, now I have to figure out, do I take it home and repot it and bring it back? Do I try to find somewhere on the site that I can take this out to repot it so that I'm not getting a bunch of dirt, on my office floor? Just, these are logistics that I never thought I'd have to consider.
Yeah.
Yes, and since it's a snake plant, its name is Jake.
I mean, that works.
So, yeah, that was all thanks to producer Josh. I even have a picture of Jake the snake on the pond. People walk by and they're like, oh, that's fun. Like, you can see the wheels turning.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, I get it. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, so I had the kids. I was off work. I had the kids. We were going to drive in the vicinity of our favorite family farm market. And I was like, they're open. They're selling plants. Hey, Joe, I'm going to buy a bunch of plants for us to put in our garden. And he's like, you have 2 black thumbs. Is this a good idea? And I'm like, Lily's going to help me. It's fine. And then,
Again, I ask you, is this a good idea?
And then I bought way more plants than I should have.
Oh,
But we'll see what happens.
I remember going to the greenhouse. See, this is our tangent into West Side stuff, which was part of the topic, so I guess it's not really that tangent-y. I remember, God, every spring, every summer, going with my mom to just the local greenhouses and buying just flats and flats of impatiens and petunias and all kinds of other plants, and just loving planting those. We never did any vegetables, fruits, anything like that.
Yeah.
But man, I absolutely loved doing that, and I still love going to greenhouses and buying plants. They just die the second that I put them in my car, pretty much. Like, they know. They're like, oh, this is a bad situation. Let's just give up now.
Yeah.
By the time I get home, they're already wilting, and then I forget about them and leave them in the flat, like in the backyard for 3-ish months. And it's like, oh yeah, guess I should have done something with those. So I don't trust myself with plants.
Yeah. Our last house, was just pretty much all annuals. Or no, perennials.
Perennials, yeah.
Perennials.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not doing any annuals. I'm not going to have to redo this garden bed.
Oh yeah,
every year.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joe's grandparents were like, they would go through the seed catalogs and they would map out their entire garden, and everything would be annuals. And I'm like,
If you can do that, I mean,
you
they
have the
look
time for that.
Amazing.
I do not.
Right.
And
right.
now with our new house, I have no idea what's in the yard. So
That's
I think
true.
we had old tulip bulbs because we had the leaves that sprouted, but we never got any plants.
Gotcha.
So I think I have to pull all those up and replace them with something else.
Yeah.
But I got a rose bush, and we put up. I finally bought the stand for them that they can grow up.
A trellis?
Yes, I bought a trellis for them this year
Nice.
because our old house, we just kind of were like, here's the side of the house and open air. Figure yourself out. And then it would just go woof and try to fall towards the ground. But now I finally got a trellis for them to
Nice.
go up and maybe thrive a little bit better.
Hey, fingers crossed.
But depending upon the state of our tomato plants, I have to decide if I'm going to buy tomato cages for them or not,
Gotcha. Yeah.
or build something. I'll probably
Either
just
way.
buy something.
Yeah. I think those cages are pretty cheap. I don't think they're crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
Plus, you can reuse them in the fall. Turn them upside down, depending on have to clean off the stakes that go in the ground.
yeah.
Wrap them in like sheets, and upside down, you can make them like ghosts
Oh.
or
nice.
scarecrows, or or like even green, like make them like Christmas trees that you can put outside, or even
Yeah.
inside, depending on how you cover like the big spiky ends
Yeah.
that are normally in the ground.
Our kids care about holidays now, so I need to work on decorating the house more. I just took down our Easter decorations today. It hasn't hit May yet.
That's part of the parenting
But-
problem.
Yeah.
It's not decorated.
The kids can't read, so they didn't know that the mantle still said Happy Easter.
Yeah. The sun's blazing. It's 80 degrees outside. Why is the Christmas tree still up? Just because.
Yeah.
Because we like Christmas.
I put hearts on it. It's fine. It's a Valentine's Day tree now.
It's an all-season tree. Thank you very much.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So just to get us
To get
back on
on
the
bottle
topic. So what's the difference between a bottle shop, a brewery, and a bar? Like, what does that mean to you, Julia?
To me, the kind of obvious answer for a brewery is a place that actually brews beer on site. Not just we have equipment, not just we have shiny tanks that you can look at, but they're actually producing some sort of alcoholic beverage on site. It could be, their cider. It could be a non-alcoholic beer. It could be seltzers, beer, wine, whatever the case may be. But to me, if you call yourself a brewery, you're making something at that location that you're
Yeah.
selling to the people that come in and out.
I would agree with that.
A bar is a place that, and again, this is all to me, a bar is a place that has a variety of brands, of companies, all kinds of things. They have a huge selection of spirits, of non-alcoholic beverages, of alcoholic beverages, and everything is served in a glass to be consumed while you're there. Well, I guess not really
Except
a glass,
now
because you can get like
Ohio has the we
Right,
have
and
lots
you
of
can get-
Dora areas, and we have
Right.
we have to go orders now that you can.
I
do.
guess a bar is a place that's not specialized in any one brand, and everything that you get is designed to drink. I'll say there with air quotes, but there as in either at their location or within, if there's a Dora area, but there's nothing that they make themselves. They're just providing you with other people's beverages that are already in a ready-to-go format, either, on draft or, whatever the case may be. They crack open the can, pour it into a cup for you. Where a bottle shop, depending on if they have a tap room or not, if they don't, it's just a place where you can just buy your beer, wine, liquor, what have you. It's however many different brands, different whatever they have. It's all basically designed for you to buy and to take to wherever you may be going with it.
Yeah.
If they have a if they have a tap room attached to it, kind of like, Delhi Liquor, Higher Gravity, that kind of place. They don't have any of their own stuff that they make, but they have everyone else's stuff that you can buy to take home or open on site to drink, either on site, again, on site including a Dora area if there is one. I would differentiate between bar and bottle shop by the bar should not have anything that you can get to take home with you and drink at another time.
Yeah.
So no sealed cans or no sealed packaging,
So like
if
you
that
can
makes
maybe
sense?
get like a growler or like one of those like restaurant Tupperware containers of margarita.
Right.
Because now we
right.
can do those as to-go things.
Right.
Because thank you, COVID. That was like one of
Oh
the
my
few
God,
good
I was
things that came
so
out of that.
glad. Yeah, but they don't have anything that they give to you in an already sealed container like a 16-ounce can of whatever.
Yeah.
What they would give you to go in that case, like the buckets of margarita or what have you, they're still pouring that from an already open type container into something else for you to do what you do with.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. And I agree with all that because
Okay.
it's like the bottle shop is, I can drink beers that are maybe harder to find other places. Maybe I can open up a bottle of something. Maybe I can't. It just depends on what the rules are of the place. Versus a bar is like I can get something to drink while I'm here. Maybe they have food. Maybe they don't. But there's a little bit of everything, but there's still a lot of macro stuff around.
Sure.
And then a brewery is like, you really only have your stuff, except for the small selection of like, well, our liquor license says we can have some wine, we can
or
have
a guest
some liquor.
tap or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can say that like, hey, we know that Susie only really drinks wine, but Susie's family is more likely to come here if we have wine, so Susie has something to drink versus Susie's just kind of sitting and twiddling her thumbs.
Right, yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Because like last night we were at Westside and Joe's parents were going to meet us with the kids, and I was like, well, there were like 3 or 4 different breweries that we were debating going to, and one of them was Fibonacci. And I was like, if we go to Fibonacci, what are your parents going to drink? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, they have wine at Fibonacci, and they have some non-alcoholic stuff.
They do, but
But
they're
it is
very
a very
picky people.
Okay.
So like we can go there with Joe's sister, and that's fine. But as soon as we try to throw Joe's parents in the mix,
It adds another layer of complexity.
yeah.
Okay,
So we were
okay.
like, okay, we'll start at Westside. If we decide that we want to do like a dinner, we'll get a table at Nation. If we don't want to do a dinner, there's a food truck. We'll be fine. We decided to do a dinner. So I finally got their, it's got apricot peach fruits with the fur.
Ooh, I need to try that still. How was that?
It was good. Joe said it didn't taste like beer, which I would agree with.
Okay.
It's like their one trendy beer that they have done.
And one of the very few beers that Westside has made that isn't named after really the style at all,
Well,
which
'cause
I
it was,
love.
It was their April Fool's Day beer that they
That they
actually
actually
like,
made.
went
Yeah,
through with
yeah.
the joke for.
So speaking of Westside, are you guys going to enter their homebrew competition? That is opening up soon.
No, we haven't homebrewed yet.
Okay.
Like at the new house.
Okay.
We need
That's
to
fair.
get our act together. Our life is always crazy, but this weekend has been especially crazy.
Gotcha.
So I am here though, and that is the important thing in life.
True.
Okay, so brewery is, and then so bottle shop versus bar versus brewery. A brewery is like, these are our beers. Maybe we have a guest beer to help fill out the tap list because we only like we're a smaller tap room or a smaller brew house, so we only do like a few beers at a time. And, like we don't have anything dark on draft right now, so we're gonna get this dark beer that's from 2 breweries over and have a keg of that on hand. Maybe we have liquor, maybe we don't. Just kind of depends on what kind of license we were able to get and whether or not that's important to us.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I know plenty of breweries that don't have a liquor license, and I'm totally cool with that. Because I'm like, I'm not getting liquor here anyway.
Right.
Why would I bother?
Unless you're somewhere like March 1st and it's winter and you get one of their stouts and have them drop some peppermint schnapps into it to make a sleigh bomb.
I would be there for that.
Oh, it's so good. It's so dangerous, but it's so good. So it definitely has its place.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Although I guess that's all their own umbrella of brand, so it's not even
Yeah.
like a different provider's brand that they're dropping in. But
Yeah, and I mean at some point
Still.
we're going to add distillery to this list because we
This is
have
true.
more distilleries in the area. Because like New Riff is still a thing, or New Riff. There's the. I don't remember what exactly they're called, but the place that's down 50. That's March 1st. Millcroft.
Millcroft.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're because they're distilling there. That's all under Cincinnati Distilling, which used to be Sycamore Distilling, which I believe used to be tied to fig leaf. I could have some of that wrong. Don't quote me on it. That's my truth.
Yeah.
Not maybe an accurate truth.
We are not affiliated with any of these businesses.
No. So here's a weird question, just because, again, tangents are a thing that we do not do.
Never.
Cideries. Northwood Cider Company is open now in Norwood. We still need to get there.
Yes, we do.
Would you consider that a brewer? I guess maybe cidery is the technical term.
I think
it's not a bottle shop. It's not a tap room. They're making their own stuff.
Again, not a legal person.
We only stayed at a Holiday Inn Express once.
Yeah.
We don't have all the answers.
I feel like a cider shop. I feel like a cider place falls under more of a
Cidery.
wine license than a brewing license. So, I mean, I'd still consider it more of like a brewery.
I would probably call
But-
it a brewery, even if that's not technically correct, because they are making their own alcoholic beverages at their location.
Yeah.
And then I know that people are going to be like, well, it's a cidery, it's, a meadery, it's, whatever the actual thing is, a winery if they make wine. But just in kind of my world, brewery is you're still brewing.
Yeah.
You're still stirring stuff together and, fermenting it and all that
It's
kind
just,
of stuff.
it's what the state wants to call it.
True.
Yeah, because like
Very true.
we need to get out and go to like Meyer or Valley Vineyard or
Vincolette.
or Vincolette. That was the one I was like, wait, is that? Yes, that is the thing.
Yeah.
To like Vincolette's out in
Indiana.
Coleraine.
No, Coleraine.
Yeah, let's go to
What,
Old
what's
Sea
the
Rain.
one? I'm thinking of one that I always drove past when going out
Vincolette?
to
No. Vino Clay.
Vino Clay.
I'm
Really?
Wine.
That makes
Okay,
sense.
I
That
understand,
tracks.
I understand Vino Clay and why that would be a thing, but
But my pea
The
brain
West-
makes more sense. Our West Side brain say Vincolette. Oh no! Producer Josh is just hands in his face like, I can't believe you uncultured people.
hey, Joe did that a lot during the editing of the 100th episode.
Hands in his face like, I can't use any of this. This is terrible. So
Okay, Vino Clay.
Vino Clay.
I still can't
It's
do
our,
it.
It's our truth. It's our truth now.
So,
It doesn't matter.
But okay, but you should see the faces that I make when I hear people pronounce some of the German clubs in the area.
This is
where I'm
true.
like, that. Okay, that was a very valiant try, but that ain't it, son.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there was, and kind of on that mispronunciation. Wow. Wow.
Hey,
I didn't even
it's the
try to do that one.
Only right way to
Oh my
mispronounce something.
We are done. We are done. There's a kind of national podcast, it's a comedy podcast, Small Town Murder, and they talked about a case from up in Oxford, and one of the people involved went to Cheviot Middle School, and I'm like, oh my god, that we joke about calling Cheviot Cheviot. You're actually saying it like that, like you think that's correct. So that's just, yeah. So my mind is blown.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what to believe anymore.
Language drift is a thing. There is a song in Girl Scouts that's called Three Chartreuse Buzzards.
Oh my.
Chartreuse is a shade of green.
Yes.
A lot of people do not realize that chartreuse is a shade of green. So someone heard this song, and instead of chartreuse, they're like, my brain does not comprehend this. They must mean short-necked. So there's also a version of Three Short-Necked Buzzards.
Interesting.
And it's like, no, but okay, it's fine. It still works.
Because I was going to say, as long as people know what you mean, like as long as they can understand, what you're trying to convey,
Yeah.
language is language. But then you get stuff like Vincolette and Vincalais and Cheviot and Cheviot and pronunciations, and holy cow,
Make sure your emphasis is on the right syllable.
100%. 100%. Oh my God. I have no idea where we even were on the actual topic at hand. The difference between bottle shops, breweries, and bars.
See,
Cool.
I want to say that the difference between us and every other podcaster out there that puts us in the top tier of podcasters is we can know where our tangents happened and how to get back onto topic.
True. We try very hard.
Yeah, We try, but maybe not
Keyword.
very hard sometimes.
Keyword.
Okay, so what is the appeal of going to a bottle shop versus a brewery versus a bar? I'm gonna say it depends on what your mood is.
I would
and
agree.
Who you're with.
I would agree. For me, a lot of the time, like if it's just my own decision and I'm not taking into account, Josh is at cards or whatever the case might be. The bar scene to me, I've never really gotten into it. Like I never went to bars. The 1 year that I went to college, I've just never really been a bar person. It was always just too many people to just. And this
Because
is
they always had especially around UC, and there was only like 2
Correct.
or 3 times that I went bar hopping around UC. It's the
it was,
popcorn
right.
machine and the hot dog roller.
Right.
And
You were going to,
here's
like-
a bunch of cheap beers, and I'm like, this
Right. Just well, and
elbow
for
to
me-
elbow. I'm not here for this.
Right, and for me, a lot of it was, you would try to go with, a small group of friends and just everyone's, because again, this is like late at night, on Short Vine, around some, it was Short Vine or Over the Rhine. Like those were the 2 areas you could go to.
Yeah.
Neither one I really wanted to just go to on my own, so I just never really got into the bar scene very much. But breweries are amazing because you can see just a variety of what they can do and what they want to do. So you can kind of find a thread between all the different styles that they have. You can talk to the bartenders or sometimes the brewers or the owners if they're there and learn all about them.
Yeah.
So it's a much more kind of community feel. If I feel like just going somewhere where I can just, get, again, we'll just pretend, it's a Friday, Josh is at cards, I decide to kind of go out on my own and get a couple drinks. I'll either go to a bottle shop or a brewery. I don't really go to a bar just because I feel like, and this could be completely wrong, I don't want to be bothered. And I feel like that might happen more at a bar where everyone's trying to be a lot more social than a bottle shop or a brewery where everyone kind of exists in their own little bubble while you're there. I'll go to a brewery just to have, and like you said, a lot of it's mood. I want some West Side beers. I'm going to go to West Side tonight. Or I'm not sure what I want, so I kind of want a variety of different things from different places. Go to a bottle shop.
Yeah.
And that way you can kind of pick out not even local stuff, but just a whole range of things that you never even knew were out there.
Yeah. And we've been to bars recently. Usually they're like bars that have food attached, and it's like we're mostly there for the food and kind of there for the bar. But like before breweries were a big thing in Cincinnati and it was super easy to get to one close to your house, like I remember going to a bar in White Oak and somebody asked the bartender, what's the difference between Red's Apple Ale and Angry Orchard? And the bartender's like, they're both made with apples and they're both delicious. Like,
Right.
I don't know. So for me, part of it too is like, at least a small aspect of it is what kind of knowledge am I looking for the people behind the bar. So if I'm going to a bar, I'm like, this is what I want, and that just give me that and we're good to go. Versus if I'm going to like a bottle shop or a brewery, I know I'm more likely to be asked, what is it that you like?
Sure.
Or I can be like, hey, what's your freshest thing? What's the craziest thing that you have on draft right now? And I know that the odds are very high that the person behind the bar is going to be able to answer that question for me and give me something that's more suited for me versus just not necessarily like a generic bartender, but like someone who is like 50-50 between mixed drinks and actually pouring beers from a draft.
What you're saying is making me think of a comparison that going to a brewery or a bottle shop tends to be more of a what are you looking for situation, where going to a bar feels like this is what we have kind of situation. It's not really about what you want, what you're interested in. It's like, this is what we've got. Just pick something. Where I feel like at the bottle shop brewery level, there's more of an emphasis on you, the consumer, and it's more personalized almost.
Yeah.
It feels like there's more of a conversation happening there versus, well, we've got, buckets of Dos Equis on sale, today for, $10 a bucket or what, whatever it might happen to be. And it's not really about what you want. It's more of, well, this is just what we have.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't want to say it's more about them than you, But I feel like at a
I'm gonna
bar,
say, like, it's
yeah.
more of like the relationship between the neighborhood and the place. So like at a bar,
yeah,
it'll be
yeah.
like, well, what are the people that come here all the time like to order?
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And like a brewery and a bottle shop, like they will still consider like what are the flavors of beer that people like to order.
Yeah.
But it's also like, hey, there's this thing that's quote super hard to find. Now I have it. Now I can be like, hey, if you wanted to try this beer because like everybody talks about it, now you actually can.
Right.
Versus a bar is gonna be more like, hey, like I've got that thing that's in town that everybody has.
Something that is also kind of a factor too. Do you want like a type of mixed drink cocktail type thing versus beer? A lot of times going to a bar, you're going to have a better selection at that. Even though a lot of the bottle shops around here are crushing it as far as mixed cocktails go,
Yeah.
so that's kind of blurring that line a little bit. Does it ever bother you if you hear someone that's not as into beer as we are saying, hey, let's go to that bar, and they're talking about a brewery?
I mean,
Does that grate like a little bit like, I'm not going to correct you, but they feel like two different things, you know?
Not as much, but like we also don't really go to bars that much.
True,
But like
yeah.
the thing that I like love about breweries is like you'll be sitting at a brewery enjoying a beer, and you'll have somebody talking next to you, and you can be like mildly join their conversation, and you don't get super judged for it. But it'll also be like, hey, like I'm only in town for like the next 2 days. Here's where I am right now. Where else should I go? And I'm like, okay, let me pull out my map in my head and think
Right.
of like where you like need to go versus where I think would be nice for you to go
Right.
while you're in town.
And I don't know if, I mean, I know that happens with bars because people like to go bar hopping, especially in areas like the UC campus, you know, Short Vine and the other areas around it, and especially over the Rhine and even downtown around the banks. You're like, oh, let's go to this place and then go to this place, go to this place. To me, it's like that's almost overload of stimuli they're going on with. There's so much, there's so many different drinks. Now I have to figure out going to each of these places. Do I want to stick with like whatever beers they have? Do I want to try a cocktail? Do I want to do whatever? Am I going to be able to make it home after all of this? I feel like bar hopping versus brewery hopping, both can be dangerous in their own ways. I don't think bottle shop hopping. I'm sure it's a thing. I'm sure people
I
go.
don't know if you necessarily like need to bottle shop hop.
Right.
Like you
right.
kind
it's
of
not,
could, but like it's more like almost everything that you want theoretically
should already be there. Yeah.
So
like
you
I know
shouldn't need
that-
to go anywhere.
Like I know that we in the past have gone to a brewery and then decided, hey, let's just swing by, you know, Higher Gravity, whatever, you know, have you, because it's close by, and stop by for something that isn't from that brewery that we're at. We just, you know, to mix it up a little bit. But we've never been at, you know, like Higher Gravity and gone, ooh, now let's drive down to Cappy's, and now let's go over here and go over to the, you know, and bottle shop hop.
Yeah.
Because like I said, yeah, when you get to a bottle shop, standard beer, that's another one I keep forgetting to mention, and over the Rhine, absolutely amazing. There is so much variety. Why would you don't feel like you need to go to other places to check all the boxes of the different things you want to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like not necessarily that like all breweries are niche, but like we do have some niche breweries in Cincinnati where like and like there's a few that fit into that niche, but like Urban Artifact is the biggest niche one. Where it's like all that they do are fruit tarts. Whether or not we can call those beers anymore, we can let Brett Coleman Baker decide, because he has opinions on that, and it's his
yes,
baby.
He does. Yes.
But like, and then West Side is the like, we do traditional beers, and maybe every once in a while we'll throw a wonky thing in, but like it's got apricot peach fruits with the fur is like the quote weirdest thing that they've done.
Yeah.
Everything else is like it's a blood orange IPA. It's blood orange and an IPA.
Right.
It is exactly what it says that it is.
Right.
And then you've got places like Third Eye that'll do everything under the sun. Because that's just Kelly's Playground.
Yes.
And then you have Brink, which was, and still is, like more traditionally styled beers. They do some wonky things, but nothing that's super crazy.
Right.
And
You'll have a place like Swine City, which they have kind of a core it's not all super traditional styles, but they like to have fun with what they're doing. Like they will go, you know what? Let's see what happens when we make an oatmeal raisin cookie amber ale.
And
Not an
call-
oatmeal
yeah.
cookie stout, but like oatmeal cookie amber ale. And it's like, I've never heard of anyone. I'm sure it's existed out in the world somewhere before then.
Yeah.
But locally, I feel like they're one of those places that does, dip their toe or their whole foot into let's be a little more creative about what we're trying to put out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it kind of boils back down to what are you looking for?
Yeah.
I feel like there's no...
And it's like, is it like when you're talking to somebody, or like when you're mildly inserting yourself into the conversation of the people next to you that are from out of town about, well, where should we go next? It's like, well, what do you like to drink?
Yes.
Because I can tell you to go to Brink, but if all that you're looking for are some like crazy stouts or some like really crazy IPAs, well, they
That's
might
not
have something
really-
on draft right now, but odds are
Right.
kind of low on that. Maybe there's a different brewery that I should send you to instead of that one.
The Cincinnati and Cincinnati beer subreddits on Reddit are actually really good about that. Well, they're almost always posts, hey, I'm visiting, in a month I'm visiting, for this event. I'd like to check out a few breweries. What do you recommend? And what's awesome is almost always one of the first 2 or 3 comments is, it depends on what you like. What styles do you like? Because we can say urban is amazing, which it is. But if you don't like if you don't like fruit tarts, if you're not familiar with it, you might go in and go, okay, Cincinnati's not a beer city. What in the world is this? Versus saying, well, I really like traditional beers, or I really like dark beers. I really like this. And you can say street side, West Side Brewing, Urban Artifact, Rhine Geist, what are you looking for?
Yeah,
Are you looking for variety? Are you looking for the atmosphere? Are you bringing your family? And Nope even touched on that in the, it actually was the episode of The Brewer of Seville that he was on a couple weeks ago, where it's okay, what are your top 5 breweries, or what are your most recommended? And it depends on what you like.
Yeah.
Right,
Because it's like,
right.
we can go down to Norwood, and I'll be like, Urban Artifact, and Joe will be like, Humble Monk. So, like, in a perfect world, it would be
Tasproporium, right.
Those
right,
two
you're like-
tap rooms would be in the same building, and Joe can be drinking all of the Humble Monk beers while I'm drinking all of the crazy Urban Artifact sours. And it's not because, like I enjoy Humble Monk beers. Like,
sure,
I don't
yeah.
get to drink a lot of Urban Artifact beers, because if I buy some of it, I have to drink all of them, because Joe will drink Gadget, and that's about it from Urban Artifact.
Right,
So I'm like, if
right.
I can, like, get his beers in the same place as those beers, like, okay, then we can...
Sure, and that's the great thing about bottle shops is they typically have enough of a variety that you can go from someone's drinking a Midwest fruit tart in your group to someone's drinking an Imperial Stout in your group to someone's drinking, a quadruple IPA with lemongrass and strawberries. I don't know. You know what
and
I mean?
like there are
it's
some breweries that you can do that at, but it's not like you're going to have something from Cincinnati versus something from Asheville versus something from one of the Portlands.
Exactly, yeah.
Everything's only going to be like at that place.
right.
Which is good.
Fine, yeah,
It
yeah,
depends on what
absolutely.
you want. And like I know
Absolutely.
when we've had large groups of people, it's hard to say, okay, where are we going to meet up? Because trying to cater to all of those different people becomes a bit of a challenge.
Right. And sometimes the bottle shop makes it the easiest bet. Like, hey, let's go here. Everyone can drink whatever style they want. And then from there, we can decide, are we going to a restaurant after this or another brewery that might check, most of the boxes for most of the people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's everything is subjective.
Truth.
It's what floats your personal boat.
Mm-hmm.
There are some beers that I have tried, and I'm like, who in the world would like this? And then there's people that are like, this is the best beer ever.
And
I'm
there's
like,
nothing wrong with either opinion. Yeah.
I'm not
yeah.
going to yuck your yum.
No.
You do what floats your boat.
100%.
Let's see here. So why do we think one is, do we say why do we think one's more popular than the other?
We didn't really go, not specifically. I don't think one is more popular than the other. I don't
think so either.
I think there's such a great blend of what's available in the bar scene, in the bottle shop scene, in the brewery scene. For me, I would say, sure, the brewery is the most popular, but that's just because that's my lens. I'm a brewery person and a bottle shop person. I'm not really a bar person. So to me, I know that people go to bars.
Yeah.
but I don't know enough to say enough is, one is really that much more popular than the other, because the people that I hang out with, the things that I do, it's all tied to those 2 out of the 3 segments of it. So
well, it's like you have the people that are still very much into macro beer, and they're mostly going to be seen at bars.
Sure,
and you've
which
got
is fine.
The people that are down for almost whatever craft beer, and they're probably more likely to be seen at breweries. And you've got like that super niche of like, I only want like the super hard to find things, and they're mostly gonna be spending time at a bottle shop.
Right, I would agree with that.
Okay, so our producer says it breaks down to the time of your drinks versus your drunks, which
I could see that. Yeah.
So are you drinking to enjoy the beer, or are you drinking to forget about everything else in your life?
Well, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that going to a bar, because if that's your scene, you might go there and have a single beer and have the best time in the world. Just
we used to have
being
a
around it.
neighborhood bar.
Right. So I agree with the statement, but I think that anymore, that spectrum, that range is of people that are going to each of the different areas. There are people that go to breweries and just go there to get drunk and to forget about whatever's going on. There are people that I'm sure show up to some of these bottle shops and tap rooms and do that exact same thing. Like, I'm going to see what they have currently that I can't get in a local brewery that's, 27% ABV because I want to forget about it all.
Yeah.
And then, same with the bars. They're the people that go there because I can get wasted for $20 off of whatever, the cheap macro is. I don't know. I think that you can kind of see that everywhere anymore. Although it probably is, and again, this is my very un-bar educated, lens. I feel like I have seen more just completely drunk, gone people at bars than I ever have at a brewery or a tap room. But that's not to say it doesn't exist in those spaces.
Yeah. Well, that's I think there's a lot more education out there now as far as like, yes, not all beer is 5%.
True.
Because, and I mean, we talk about this night a lot, but it was the day that Joe, before the Cincy Brew Bus existed, Joe's friend rented a school bus and went brewery hopping. And when I joined them halfway through, it was just gobs of people would just stay at that brewery wherever we ended up because they had drank too much and not eaten anything, because it's like, oh, like, we're just drinking beers, like, it's going to be fine. It's like, no, the beer that you decided to drink was 8%.
Yes.
And
it's
like,
hit
you
you
are
twice
ignoring
as hard
the
as
fact
that
that I'm
5%.
trying to feed you pretzels right now. Like,
Right.
you're on your own, bud. Like,
Yes.
while we,
yes.
because like that was still early days of breweries, because that was when they were starting production at the tap room for Moreline in OTR. We had been doing German events for forever where we're like, yeah, we know these ABVs can get high and you can start drinking and forget to eat, and like, no, like, you need to eat some pretzels, you need to eat some protein, you need to get something in your system so you can survive the day. And a lot of people, including the birthday boy, forgot that.
But did he survive?
He
To see another-
did.
Okay, well, there you go.
But
he just was not having a good time
no,
after. Yeah.
we started at Listerman. They started at Listerman and we ended at Listerman. And Joe was the only person that entered Listerman when we got back there, and that was because I was like, well, I'm gonna get a beer at Listerman,
And just like,
and everybody else was like,
I'll sit
I
in there
just
with you.
need to go home.
oh, man, that's funny. But yeah, I would say, at least in the past, that absolutely would be my perception. It kind of a little bit still is that, the drunks versus the drinkers. But I don't know. I don't have enough experience at bars to really know if that's the majority of where that breakdown would happen. So,
I mean, it's when we, like, our parents still mostly drink macro beer, and like, we can sometimes convince them that there's something at a brewery that they'll drink, but it's like, I'm more likely to meet them at a local bar than I am, or somewhere that has food in addition to alcohol.
Yeah, that makes
versus
sense.
just like, it's nice if we can go to West Side with them, but like, is a food truck something that they'll eat? Maybe it's just easier to meet them at Nation.
Sure. Which Nation has a decent tap list too, of like kind
do.
of that whole range of everything from macro to the local breweries. So so you're good to go no matter what you want there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe's mom was drinking cans of Coors.
Nice.
I was like, whatever floats your boat.
Sure, absolutely.
I know they will be less dusty than that time that we went to Rock Bottom and you ordered Miller Lite.
Well, I think we can dig one out, maybe, from before we were open.
Yeah. Somebody drinks it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And so then there's an interesting thing that Joe added a bunch of articles to that neither of us
Yeah.
read, and I ain't got
Yeah.
time to read that.
Well, I
So
felt
we'll-
bad because I didn't realize that the doc had been updated from when I first kind of looked it over and went, okay, cool, I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there are non-alcoholic bottle shops.
Which is awesome. You know
Yeah,
what I
which
mean?
is
It's like,
good.
that's great.
But I raised the question, what's the difference between that and a soda fountain?
I guess it's because I think that non-alcoholic, it can still have like that 0.5, like up to 0.5%. There's like a tiny,
Yeah.
tiny amount of alcohol that they can still have in them and still be considered non-alcoholic. Like kombucha, that has like up to 0.5%. And it's considered non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
There's a tiny bit of fermentation, so there is a bit.
Well-
But right, I mean, it's I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it. I love the fact that there are dedicated spaces, and it looks like there's nothing local. I think some of these article titles. There's one in Dayton. There's
Yeah,
one
the
in
first
Dallas.
one that I read was about a bottle shop in Manhattan.
St. Pete's,
And,
somewhere in Minneapolis. I think it's fantastic for the people that for whatever reason they just 100% don't drink. They are trying to get and stay sober, or they're just taking a break. I think it's fantastic that places that still have that bottle shop feel, but with all non-alcoholic beverages, I love it.
Yeah.
It is a little.
So part of it for me is like, where do you
Weird, but-
draw the line? Because like
Right.
the one that I read about the non-alcoholic bottle shop in Manhattan, it's like, oh yeah, we have this non-alcoholic absinthe. So it's like, but what? Or
Right.
maybe it wasn't absinthe. It was something else. It was something with an A.
It was
and
a
I do not
spirit,
know.
though?
It was a spirit.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, so is that because you're taking the alcohol out of it somehow, or is it just it kind of tastes like that?
Right.
So that's why we're calling it a now non-alcoholic version of it.
Right. Yeah, and those are that's a really good question. Is it actually brewed the same way as the alcoholic version, but brewed in a way that burns off or brews out
Yeah.
all that alcohol?
It's
or is it
Apervito.
okay?
I don't know what Apervito is.
I've heard that term or that name before, but I don't know anything about it.
I don't do a lot
so-
of liquor. so-
No. I'll do a little bit of bourbon and occasionally some tequila, but that's
So it's like
spiced rum. We like Kraken, but it's still not something that we're drinking, every week.
Yeah.
Even it's just kind of like random points throughout the year where it's like, you know what? Well, I guess in the winter, peppermint schnapps. That's
peppermint schnapps
That's
is always
awesome.
good in the wintertime.
but yeah,
like, my go-to is schnapps whenever we have our family liquor shot.
yeah.
'Cause it's like, it's Jägermeister or some kind of schnapps. And I'm like, I would much rather prefer the schnapps to the Jägermeister.
Ooh, I just got the side eye from producer Josh. Yeah, we still every year the first snowball that sticks do our shot of. How did we even come up with that? I don't even remember.
It's the same thing that happens with us. It's like you got a bottle of Jäg in your freezer and you're
But
like,
why
I
did
don't
we
know how
buy
I
it?
got
But
it
I don't
here.
even remember why we bought that. Like it's been the same bottle for like 8 years. I don't even know why we bought it. Like neither of us have ever been Jaeger people. Like I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was meant to be like a joke, like, oh yeah, gonna buy a bottle of Jaeger, or did someone give it to us? No, I don't remember. No idea.
That's what happens.
But now
with
it's part of the
Jaeger.
tradition.
It just magically pops up in your freezer. And if you listen to Joe's aunt, which I highly do not recommend, Jaeger cures everything.
Ugh.
Because there was one Christmas we showed up to the family Christmas party late because we were going to listen to my mom play bells in the bell choir that Larry was directing. So we went to their Christmas Eve sermon or whatever it's called when it's not Catholic.
Service.
Service?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Service is a good word to encompass all.
And when we show up, it's only like 8 o'clock at night. And Joe's brother is completely gone. And we're like, well, what happened to him?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, he got the hiccups. And your aunt told him that Jägermeister cures the hiccups. So they just kept doing shot after
no.
shot of Jägermeister.
Oh no.
And I'm like, that was not a good decision.
No.
And then I was
No.
very glad that we drove home separate because he did not make it home okay.
Mm-mm. No.
And
Good
it's
God.
like, yeah, we stick to schnapps.
Yes. I don't know, to kind of try and tie it back, I think that non-alcoholic bottle shops, I believe they have
There's definitely a need.
There's a need for
there's
it.
a market for them.
Sure,
and there's a
sure.
need for it.
I mean, kind of like the old Rolling Mill Brewery, RIP to them, making gluten-free beer because there was a need for that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there wasn't enough of a need for them to keep going.
Well, so that's the
But-
thing where it was like either there wasn't enough of a need or the need didn't outweigh the fact that they had family things that they need to deal with.
True, right. I think
Because
that
there were multiple factors that went into that.
Right. I feel like the same thing goes for a non-alcoholic bottle shop. There is absolutely a place for that. There have been plenty of times where I'm like, I want something that's like a beer, but I just don't want to deal with what the alcohol side of it's going to do to me. It's going to make me feel dehydrated. I'm going to, maybe have a headache or, whatever. There's some great non-alcoholic options out there. There aren't a ton of places that carry a huge variety of them. Like you're getting some pretty good selection anymore. But I think a place that specializes in it is absolutely fantastic. Would I go to one? I don't know. I might, just to see what do you have here that I don't get at the other bottle shops that I frequent. Like, what are the other options? Maybe there's something better. Everyone always says Athletic Brewing is, like, they're crushing it sales-wise. I've never had anything from them that I like. I've never had anything that I've said, you know what, if I want a beer but I don't want the alcohol, this is a good thing to fill in. Like, I'll take an athletic beverage. For whatever reason, taste-wise, not there for me. Untitled Art, holy crap, they do a great job. It's still not the same, but my God, it's good. The Vine Stefaner, 0%. That's fantastic. Again, it's still not quite there. It's good. They get us 0%. There are some absolutely amazing options out there, and if there's a place that has enough of a variety of those or access to enough of a variety that they can open an entire bottle shop for it and not just be like the athletic store, my God, that's awesome. Good for them. I would love to go to one. I don't know if Cincinnati's ready yet.
Yeah, well,
but I think that's...
My big thing is having the variety available because I have friends or coworkers that don't drink for various reasons, and then it's like, oh, well, we're all going to go out to this bar.
Right.
Like, oh. But here are 4 different options for you between, like, here's this non-alcoholic cocktail or here are these non-alcoholic beers where you can still feel like you are participating in the night without having alcohol. Which
I will just say, if you're a friend group or coworker group or whatever kind of group that's going out, and one person doesn't drink, so they order a Coke or they order a water. Who cares? To me, there should never be a question. Oh, this way you can still feel like you're fitting in with everyone else. Like to me, it's like if you feel like someone doesn't fit in unless they're drinking some type of, air quotes, beer type product, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, you're doing it wrong. Let everyone order whatever they want, and the fact that they're there with you should be what matters, not what's in their glass. That's just my little soapbox.
Oh, for sure.
For that, but yeah.
And it, like, especially when, not so much when I was pregnant with Elliot, because we had Lily in the house and COVID was a thing, so it was harder to get out of the house anyway. Like when I was pregnant with Lily, it was, oh, hey, we're going to go to this bar for my birthday. Like, sweet, okay, I will be Joe's DD. And then we get into the bar, and they're like, we need to ID you.
Right.
And I'm like,
I'm obviously
7 months
not
pregnant. I am the size of a house. And they're like, well, sorry, I still got to ID you because people are crazy. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that is a thing.
Yeah.
And so then I just go to bartenders and be like, okay, what is the funnest thing that you can make for me? Whatever your definition of funnest is, it does not have alcohol in it.
Coke with a squirt of lime juice, and you're like, if that's what you can do.
I mean, I did a lot of Sprite with Sprite cranberries, especially early days, because it was like, I'm just drinking a vodka cranberry. It's fine.
Sure. Yeah.
And then my mother-in-law was like, oh, can I get a taste of that? And I'm like, it's really watered down, and proceeds to sip, drink the rest of it. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I just finished it. Like, my bad.
Yeah. Oh, man. But that's awesome that there are places out there that are solely focused on that. And like I said, that there's enough of a variety of products out there
Mm-hmm.
that an entire bottle shop can open where that is what they serve and that is their market.
Yeah, when
That's
I can
cool.
see too, like if you have a smarter group of people that are doing a brew bus experience, where they're like, we want to instead of doing like the traditional 3 stops, we want to do like 5 or 6 stops, making one of those stops a place that does not serve anything that's alcoholic but has alcohol tasting things.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Like, hey, we're going to stop at this place in the middle of our trip to kind of get ourselves back on track and feel like we're still having a great time.
That'd be phenomenal.
Versus just like, we're just going to get hammered the entire time and then feel like we're going to die the next day.
Yes. I agree. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, so there's definitely a place for it. Again, I don't know if Cincinnati has the need for it at the moment, but having the option at a bar or a brewery of, hey, I'm going to be here for quite a few hours and I'm the DD, so like I want to, like I'll have an alcoholic beverage every once in a while, but like I still want to like have something in my hand that's not water. So here
And
I can have this non-alcoholic IPA to throw in the mix to make sure that I'm still fine
Right.
to drive, but I'm not just chugging water the whole night.
Right. And I can't really speak to bars at all, but I know that most of the local breweries and bottle shops almost all have a non-alcoholic beer type offering. So not just Coke or Sprite or, water, but, an Untitled Art or an athletic, non-alcoholic beverage that they can offer for people that fit that exact situation. So I think that the awareness is definitely there at these places, that some people want to have a drink that's not alcoholic versus, the need being big enough yet for an entire bottle shop or, brewery to be in the city yet. I mean, maybe it will be, and if it does, that would be awesome. I'd absolutely check it out. I just don't know if that
Considering
kind of...
Hamilton County is what kept Ohio from being dry the longest, I'm not exactly sure about Cincinnati.
We'll just skip to Warren County. It's just right up there. It's fine.
But I mean, there's definitely a place for it.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
If you can find the need for it, make it happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, don't yuck anyone else's yum.
Yeah. Everybody's different. Everybody's got their own thing.
And that's what makes life great.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's because, like, that, especially when I started dating Joe, I was like, how can you not like coleslaw or sauerkraut and like all this stuff? And then I'm like, and he's like, I just don't. I can't do it. And I'm like, this is like, I was like, let me try to get you into these things. Then I realized I was like, wait, but if you don't like sauerkraut and sauerkraut isn't like an option for taking it off, I get your sauerkraut. Or if it's coleslaw and coleslaw is always an option as a side, I get your coleslaw. So
Yeah,
you don't want to eat
yeah.
this thing? That's fine. Now I get your serving of it because you can't replace it with something else.
That's true. One man's inability to be flexible with food is another person's extra side on the side of their meal. I don't know. That didn't work out too well, but I tried.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. Like when we go out to places with Joe's sister, who really does not eat much stuff, and there's like something weird on the menu, and it's like, I'm like, just put that on the side and put that on the side, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take your on the side things, and you can have your plain thing.
Hey, Josh always gets my tomatoes.
It works.
Yeah.
There's a few things that Joe gets of mine. Not many, but there's a few. Because I'm not as picky as he is, but everybody's
I will
different.
say I'm the picky one of the Joy and Josh show. I'm getting better, slowly but surely. There's still some things I absolutely refuse, but
Yeah, well, now we get like, we'll send text messages to the grandparents where it's like, hey, we can't eat all of our salad because the kids keep demanding portions of our salad from us. And they're like, can you take your sister-in-law and like retrain her to like these things? And I'm like, I mean, all we did is we made the kids cheese quesadillas and we made us fancy salads.
Yeah.
And the kids are like, no, I don't want the cheese quesadilla. I want what you're eating. And I'm like,
you're like, yes, free quesadilla.
like, normally you guys don't eat this stuff, but okay.
Yeah,
It works.
whatever works.
Okay. Do you have any closing I think we've covered most of it. But
Yeah,
anything else?
I think so. If you're over on the west side, on a Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday, check out the Delhi Liquor tap room. It's awesome. Then go upstairs or maybe before do some shopping, get some stuff to take home, and then come down here. Wednesdays are typically pint nights. They always have a food truck, and it's just a really nice little, really well done tap room.
Yeah, so to boost Delhi Liquor sales, I'm going to say come down to the tap room, drink 2 or 3 beers, and then go upstairs and go shopping because then you'll buy more beer.
Yes, and there is dedicated parking for the tap room, just right outside the tap room, which is in the back of the building. So if you go down Foley, which if you're searching for directions, it's right on the intersection. You can park down here and walk up to the to the shop area. So whatever, but they do have maybe 20 parking spaces back here, something.
I'd say 20 or something.
Maybe about 20. So I mean, it's decent. It's great. It does fill up on pint nights and when they have their food trucks. But I believe you can park like directly across the street when the bank and the beauty salon are closed. I don't know if that's official, but I see people do that all the time. They park there and just walk across the street.
There's a few places on the west side we do that.
Sure, yeah. I've never seen any issues with it happening, but it's awesome here. It's great.
Yeah.
So come down and check it out.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. We're
Good.
probably gonna come out here a time or two.
Good.
Maybe even with the kids when the weather's nice because we
Have
can
the
just
kids
say,
run around because they own all of that grass up until that tree line. I don't know if you can see
we
from
can
where
go
you're
have
sitting.
the kids play on the grassy knoll.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, you guys enjoy your beverages and food truck food.
Yeah.
It'll be awesome.
So that does it for this week's show. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Craft Parenting Podcast. You can get a hold of us via email, which is craftparentingpodcast@gmail.com. If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. Make sure to share the show. It's what helps our show grow. And all of this information is available on our website, www.craftparentingpodcast.com. That's where we post the show notes, plus not really blog posts anymore. We'll see what happens.
You'll get back.
But so Julia, where can people find you?
They can follow Marco and I at Truth Beer Pod on all the social media platforms. Our podcast is called Truth Beer and Podsequences. I don't even know anymore. You can find it on all the podcatchers out there. And we're at Higher Gravity every Tuesday.
So I am at Caroline Creates Crafts on Instagram, where I mostly share craft-related things. Joe is at Craft Parenting Joe, where he shares most of our beer-related things. And then Craft Parenting Podcast is a nice little mix of the two on Instagram. And thank you so much for joining us, Julia.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
And I'm so glad that we had a producer.
Yes.
It made life a lot easier.
Really did.
And only derailed us a little bit. But it happens.
It's fine.
We were going to get derailed anyway.
Absolutely.
So see you next time on the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Bye.
Make sure your emphasis is on the right syllable.